the game can see the boxing voice.
Welcome back, gang, for the first time and hopefully many more to come. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and click on the notifications right here, this little bell, so you can get those emails every time we go live. Peace.
Hi.
ThaBoxingvoice.com live here with Shelly Finkel. Shelly, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to interview you. Let's get right into it. Obviously, Deontay is very adamant about one day you're going to release these emails and prove to the world that Eddie Hearn has been, I guess, lying. There's really no other way of putting it.
Well, if it doesn't need to, I won't, but I have enough of emails that we've exchanged to show what really happened. But that's irrelevant. We've moved on. If everything goes well tonight, we're fighting Tyson Fury, and that's all that matters. It was obvious, for whatever reason, Joshua does not want to fight Deontay Wilder. If he did, that fight would have been made. Forget everything else. If he wanted the fight, he would have said, Eddie, get me that fight. The same way Tyson said when he wanted Spinks, the same way Ray Leonard told his lawyer, get me the fight with Tommy Hearns, and it got made. He did not want to fight Deontay Wilder.
The casual fan may not know that Shelly Finkel had something to do with the Vladimir Klitschko versus AJ fight. Can you just tell us the role you played in that fight and how the negotiations for that fight were? What's the difference between those and these?
Well, each time Eddie Hearn kept putting up this facade, oh, he didn't send us a contract. You don't send a contract until you have a fight. He offered Deontay to fight Dylan White twice. He never sent the contract because we didn't say yes. If Joshua had accepted, we would have done it. We had a negotiation. I was negotiator on the side of Klitschko in order to make the fight with Joshua. There was no problem making the fight because Joshua wanted it. As soon as we agreed on terms, contracts were exchanged, there was a bit more of changing things, and it was done. The difference between what Eddie Hearn tried to get us to sign to fight with Deontay and Joshua had no rematch clause except for Joshua. When the contract with Klitschko, it was a rematch clause. And when Eddie Hearn sent the contract, it had no date, it had no site. Now he's playing the switcheroo where Joshua said, I signed the contract, I sent it out, it has everything worked out. The same contract was sent, although it was said April 13, 2019, was signed by Eddie Hearn, and none of the problems that made the fight not happen were changed.
Let me just interject there. Now, Eddie says he signed the contract. AJ says verbally on the media, I will send my signature. Was AJ's signature on the Vladimir Klitschko contract? Is AJ's signature necessary, or was that also just a lie?
It's not necessary, but he said it. And even if his signature wasn't on it, and Eddie's was, but the things that were to be changed, the flat, the rematch clause, and a few other minor things, the fight would have been on for April. But as I've said before, these are all reasons you put out there to not make a fight. Eddie Hearn does not want his guy knocked off. It's the basis of his business. And for whatever reason, I don't want to say Joshua is afraid, but he doesn't stand up to make the fight happen.
Now, when we're talking about Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, I spoke to Johnny Nelson. I know he really doesn't have much relevance in this conversation, but
Right.
His opinion is that even if Wilder or Fury win, they're still not the A-side to Joshua, even with a successful U.S. pay-per-view. Obviously, you've been a big-time boxing advisor, manager, and promoter for some time. Let us know, it does the pendulum sway in Deontay's favor if he can put up 500,000 pay-per-view buys with a Tyson Fury?
You know, none of that is relevant. What's relevant is if Deontay does what he needs to do against Joshua, and he goes out, and then, he knocks out Fury, and then he goes in a match. Right now, let's take a look at what Joshua does with Povetkin, and then if they ever fight, let's see what he does against Deontay, and give the difference to Deontay. We would accept that also.
So, how easy was it getting the fight with Fury together, and when will it be official? Are they plan to announce it if Fury wins in the ring? I mean, he's entered Wilder's ring for the Spielka fight.
As long as he wins, the fight is on. You'll see what happens tonight in the ring after the fight.
It's funny that you at least say we'll see what happens in the ring, keyword being in the ring. Does Tyson Fury just show more? I mean, he shows he's real by allowing Wilder into the ring where Anthony did not want Deontay to come near the ring?
Well, we were asked by
Sky
TV to come over, and as part of our negotiations with Adam Smith, we accepted coming over as long as Deontay was able to go in the ring after the fight, and it was in the agreement. As soon as Joshua found that out, oh no, we don't want him in the ring after. He can't come in. It's my fight. The fact of the matter is he didn't want to fight. What fighter in his right mind turns down $50 million plus a rematch?
And he let Vladimir in the ring.
Of course. He wanted the fight with Vladimir. He did not want the fight with Deontay.
So Deontay says, listen, we've moved on, and he seems genuinely, personally bothered by the lies that Eddie Hearn has been spreading, according to Deontay. He's not looking forward to doing any future business with him. He feels he has his own plan. He wants to get to 51-0. How do we get Deontay to 51-0? What's next? And I know you can't think past, but he's obviously looking past Fury.
Well, he should be looking through that because he believes, and I agree with him, he is the best fighter out there, and he will continue to win. And it's up to you and other journalists to acknowledge at some point Joshua didn't want him. And when Joshua wants him, we'll sit down and we'll make a deal that is the right deal for both sides.
And just, can you clear up, because you were a promoter at one point, right?
I am a promoter, but not in boxing, a manager in boxing.
And at one point you had about 130 fighters. You got rid of everyone except Deontay. People like Danny Garcia.
Yes.
Why? What made you keep Deontay?
I didn't have 130, but I had several. What I was doing at the time was doing some big music events. I had Klitschko, and the only fighter I wanted to manage was Deontay, because I believed in his potential and his future, and you can't do a good job for 100 fighters. You have to narrow down who you work with, and knock wood, I proved right with Deontay. Or Deontay proved me right better.
Can Deontay replicate what Joshua's doing here in the States? If he's able to win this fight with Fury, will all his future fights be pay-per-view?
I would hope so. The thing is, in giving credit to Joshua, he, what I believe, is the perfect storm. He is British. He won the gold medal in the UK in the 2012 Olympics. He's fought the right opponents to get where he is. And now, as any good fighter has to at some point, they got to step up and fight the best, or history will show they were a manufactured heavyweight.
Obviously, as an outsider looking in, you know...
Can you hold 1 second? I want to make sure they... No, stay. I just want Go ahead.
Man, where was I going with that? I forgot my train of thought.
I'm sorry. You said something about if he beats him, will every fight be a pay-per-view? It depends on the opponent. I just explained to you that the perfect storm was him winning the Olympic gold medal, even though there was some controversy. He's a likable person. Problem is, he's not the best heavyweight out there, and his team does not want it to happen either.
Deontay speaks a lot about loyalty, but he doesn't have a contract with Showtime. It looks like in the future, to ever make that Joshua fight, it's going to have to be with DAZN. Espinosa's stance when I interviewed him is he will not do a split with an app. What do you do to get your fight at the biggest fight at that point?
I'll worry about that then. Right now, the only thing that matters is fighting Fury. Actually, the only thing that matters is Fury winning tonight. Then we'll get our match on. Deontay will prevail. There'll be a time where it comes. DAZN, look, I would hope DAZN is successful because it's better, more outlets for boxing. The fact of the matter is they're putting Joshua on a network in the U.S. where no one's going to be aware of it. Who cares? He's fighting Povetkin, who couldn't pass a drug test to fight us. And that's who he chose to fight instead of fighting Deontay. If he wanted, we could have been his September fight. It could have been done. There was enough time. It was their choice not to do it.
And now the WBO is also mandating a mandatory, so it looks like after Povetkin, he has another mandatory from the WBO. And it's obviously because of the sanction and fees. How do you as a manager get through all this mumbo-jumbo?
Well, again, when I handled the Klitschko, or anyone, whether it be a music artist or anyone, you want to expose them to the most people possible, okay? I hope DAZN makes it because I think it's good for boxing, but your biggest star, you're putting on the first event in the U.S. where maybe 10,000 people are watching. No one's going to watch it. How is that in the best interest of Joshua in building Joshua as a superstar?
Well, because didn't he already secure Joshua's best interest by getting him the DAZN deal? It's probably the most money he's gotten to sign.
Well,
definitely beat Showtime, right? Because Showtime had the rights to match.
Look, no, Showtime never had the rights to match as far as I know.
And this, allegedly, the Povetkin deal was only a one-fight deal.
But
I spoke to Espinosa about that.
But here's my question. If you have a chance, forget the money only. It's, you're building a career. You're building a legacy. You want to be the world heavyweight champion. You don't want to just be in the UK. Everyone, no matter who, whether it be Hatton, Lennox Lewis, any big British fighter, eventually they fight in the US also. And when you're there, you want to do big business. You want to be the big star. You don't get that by exposing yourself to very few people, even if you made more money.
So the $50 million offer in the U.S., there was no co-promotion?
No, he would be co-promotion in name. There was no reason. The $50 million risk was being taken by other people.
Now, there's a lot of people claiming, I'm glad we're talking here, a lot of people claiming this $50 million. Espinosa claims that some of the money was coming from Showtime, and even Frank Warren is saying that BT had something to do. What's the deal with the $50 million offer?
The $50 million...
And there was never any proof of funds, is what he likes to say.
No, it's not true.
No, what Eddie likes to say.
Yeah, but no, it's not true. We can show, if it happens to, a letter that was sent to Eddie, it was sent to Joshua and then to Eddie, give us who the lawyer is. We want to tell them how the funds are and where they are. Have Joshua just give us the name. They never would give it to us. We asked for it repeatedly. Do you or anyone think that my side, knowing my history, would put an offer in and not be able to back it up? I would think not.
Definitely. I mean, I spoke to Eddie about it myself, and I said, you've obviously done business with Al in the past, and Al has some dealings with Deontay. Do you not believe that the money is there? He says, I believe the money's there, but they've never showed it.
There's no reason to show it. You've never agreed to fight him. Why don't we do this? agreed to fight him at a deal that can be done, and within 24 hours you will see the money secured.
Wilder, speaking of, has it
Okay.
made out that he's 60-40 if he wins this fight with Fury.
Only if Eddie will agree.
TBV family, yes, YouTube has been cutting funding to their channels as of late, and with net neutrality going through its process, the internet is changing. If you want to keep your favorite channel intact, coming up with tons of content, and plus get hours and hours of extra content, head over to patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice to become a member of the TBV family and help support the channel. Peace.